Hey guys, well, thanks for tuning in this week. I got something a little different. Sitting here waiting to meet somebody, and I thought I'd jump on here and do a little video. For those of you that know and have followed my channel, you know that coon hunting is a big passion of mine. And I've had a lot of people that are new and starting out. They ask me, how do you train a dog? There's a lot of things out there that can benefit you with training a dog. One of the things that's a big topic for a lot of people is coon feeders. I'm not going to get into what a coon feeder is, or if you want to search the internet, you can find all different types of ideas on how to make one. Basically, all it is a concentration of a food source to keep those coons coming back in, and there's a higher likelihood of them to be in the area when you turn your dog loose, and that produces a hot track for a young dog to run. So personally, I've used some in the past, but I usually do not. There's several reasons why. I do a lot of competition hunting, and I'm looking for a dog that knows how to move through the woods and through experience has learned where to find coons, such as on creeks or other food sources. I feel like when you use a coon feeder, a lot of times that dog just goes out there and he learns to go out there to that bucket or tire or whatever they're using for a coon feeder. And if there's not a track there, I kind of feel like they don't hunt very good after that. In my experience, if you know your area and you know the game that you're after, you don't necessarily need a feeder. I'm sure there are some areas throughout the United States that you do need a coon feeder. I am fortunate enough to live in the Midwest in southern Indiana, and although we don't have the greatest coon population where I'm at, we can usually find a coon to get after. In my area, in a competition hunt, a 1 or 2 coon score is probably going to win the hunt. There are times where you can get into more coons than that, but in my area, 1 or 2 coon score is a good score. I'm in extreme southern Indiana where it's kind of rolling hills and river bluffs, and we don't have the good flat cropland like there is about an hour north of me. So what I do, I just kind of know my food source, and for the time of year, in the spring of the year, we'll start there. Whenever, the ground starts warming up, one of the first food sources that I tend to hunt is in these picked crop fields, such as your corn fields or your bean fields. A lot of night crawlers will get out and start, moving around at nighttime, and those coons, they know that, and they'll be out there in those fields picking up, any kind of worms or bugs. And then after that, once it starts warming up a little bit more, you'll start hearing frogs in the water hose, bullfrogs, or we call them spring peepers. If you hear them, you'll know what they are. But those coons, they hear that, and that's just like a dinner bell for them. They're going to sneak in there and try to catch some frogs or crawfish. One of the biggest draws we have where I'm from is mulberries. So if you know when your mulberries are ripe, and you know where there's mulberry trees, you can turn loose, and there's usually high concentrations of coons in those mulberry trees. Right at the end of my parents' driveway, there is a couple mulberry trees that start dropping in the road, and every coon hunter that I know, when that road in front of my parents' house starts turning black from those mulberries getting crushed by the cars, we all head pretty much to the same spot. There's a spot down on the Ohio River that we all know. I'm not going to name it by name, but pretty much every coon hunter in my area has been there. And when it's right, the coons are in there. And then later on in the summertime, you got your blackberries and your raspberries, your cherry trees. And, when they're ripe, the coons, they're opportunistic. They're going to move in there. A little bit later, people's gardens will start getting on. The sweet corn patches will start getting hit. And then the field corn that the farmers put out, when it's in the milk stage, that's just like a magnet. Every coon in the country is going to come in there and fill their bellies. And then after that, once the corn starts getting out of the milk stage and getting harder, they'll stay in it for a little bit. But then the biggest draw after that is when the oak trees start producing acorns. The coons, they'll transition out of those cornfields and they'll move into the oak flats. They'll start eating those acorns off the oak trees. And Another one that I failed to mention there was wild grapes is a big one. When they're, whenever they're coming on, the coons are in them as well. And I don't have them a whole lot around my area, but I know there are some. Is hackberries. If you have hackberry trees, those coons are after those hackberries when they're on. And if you'll take just a little bit of time and use a little bit of woodsmanship and kind of scout your area and find these food sources, you won't have to worry about putting out a coon feeder. And then your dog won't be, dependent on that coon feeder to produce a track every time. And in my opinion, I like a dog that I can take to any part of the country and feel like I have a good chance at winning a competition hunt. I enjoy the camaraderie with competition hunting, and I like to have a dog that can compete anywhere I put him down. So if you'll just do some scouting, it's just like deer hunting. You got to do that deer scouting if you want to kill a big buck. So you can't just put your dog down anywhere and expect him to hit a good hot track every time. So if you do a little homework on your end, get out there and look for these food sources and know when they're ripe, you'll have a lot better success. I thank you all for tuning in. I hope you learned something. I really enjoyed sharing it. So good luck to you this fall, and keep those dogs in the woods. Thank you.